I tend to be a bit impatient just generally in my life. I am aware of this. It's one of my kind of tragic flaws. It's something that I've struggled with my whole life, and I really try hard in my work and in my personal life to take a step back and to kind of breathe and just think through a process so I'm not trying to constantly push. But fundamentally, I'm kind of an impatient person. When I was really early in my career, 25 years or so ago, it became a kind of I just became sloppy because I was pushing things too quickly. In my work, it would be a rush, trying to get it out, trying to get things done by the deadlines or even before the deadlines. And in doing so, I sacrificed quality. It was one of those things where it was mediocre work, but on time and kind of on budget. And one of my first bosses, amazing guy, reminded me every time I gave him something new to just take it slow. He said, do it again, take it slow. So that way it improved the quality little by little each time. And it really took me over 25 years to finally get comfortable, or at least a little bit comfortable with taking things a little bit slower and being patient and understanding that everything doesn't work towards according to my timeline. And the value of kind of taking things slow is learning to be persistent, learning to kind of, again, be patient, but then to continue on and on, continue to face whatever it is that you're facing in terms of your work or your life or whatever it is. And so it really paid off for me, these lessons that you learn over the course of your entire life, because when I started my doctorate, I came into the whole thing thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be 3 years, boom, and then I'm done. 3 years is a typical time for a doctorate here in Norway, and certainly in Europe, I think would be a general statement. But for me, I was a very non-traditional doctoral student, not in terms of my age. I think age was more or less right on spot, but in terms of my approach and my kind of changing career paths, I was quite non-traditional. Whenever I finished my master's degree, I moved to Norway, and that's when I kind of first started not even necessarily a doctoral degree. What I started as a career as a researcher. So I was awarded what's called a Marie Curie Fellowship, which is some grant funding provided by the EU for early stage researchers to kind of get themselves started. So this grant really enabled me to do a lot of really interesting and engaging and fun research. It really gave me that chance to start off my career. And I understand that a lot of people don't have that advantage and they don't have that opportunity in front of them. So, if you're in a situation where that's just not available, I think this idea of persistence can really pay off because you're really having to bootstrap from, day one. I was lucky that I got that kind of jump in my career. But like I said, most PhDs take 3, maybe 4 years, at least here in Europe, to finish their PhDs. A lot of them publish articles, so you might publish 3 articles, 4 articles. You a lot of times publish articles in cooperation with your supervisor or other academics at your institution. And you'll have supervisors and you'll take classes. I mean, this is just de rigueur. This is just a normal process for PhDs, at least here in Norway. But for me, again, I took a little bit different path. It took me 7 years to finish my doctorate after I had started my career as a researcher. I took a couple of classes here and there, but I wasn't part of a formal program, if you could imagine. And I never really had a supervisor formally. I had a lot of people who were gracious and kind enough to kind of guide me along the way, and a lot of people who really took their time and gave it to me to kind of mentor me as a researcher. So I think that this idea of persistence really paid off for me because the 7-year process can be incredibly grueling, and I never really considered stopping. I never really considered just giving up, but I did consider a lot of second and third and fourth kind of plans, like plan A, B, C, and D, to try to figure out what it is that I can do and what it is that I want to do. And sometimes those things were a little bit in conflict. But I managed to get through the process. I did what's known in Scandinavia as a Doctor of Philos degree, a Doctor of Philosophy, I think it's pronounced, I have no idea. Anyways, it's a very non-traditional PhD. It's a PhD where you just do a whole bunch of research, submit a doctorate, and then kind of wing in a prayer, hope that it gets accepted. You do your defense. The defense is a little bit different from a traditional PhD. But I really would never have gotten to where I am today if I didn't persist, if I didn't struggle through the really, really bad times, and I didn't kind of glorify in the good times, or at least, reward myself in those successes. So if you have an experience where you're maybe in a bachelor's degree, or maybe you're in a master's degree, maybe you're doing your own PhD, or maybe you're just working and kind of getting up every day and trying to make things happen, just try to be patient with yourself. Take that time, take that breath, and remember that in the end, when you look back on that time, it'll just be a glimpse into a memory, and it won't necessarily shape your whole entire life. More what will shape your life is your ability to learn from that experience and to kind of take forward that knowledge into your next decisions, into your next steps of your life. I always tell my students that the time is going to go by either way. You can either spend that time trying to fulfill one of your ambitions, one of your goals, or you can spend that time in other ways, but it's going to pass. And so I hope that as time continues in your own lives, that you can look back and you can see your accomplishments, see your achievements, and take heart that even though things might be difficult, discouraging, or challenging right now, that you will make it through with enough persistence and enough patience.